It all happened in less than 15 minutes. A man in a $1,000 suit stepping out of his luxury car humiliated a biker covered in grease and dust by throwing hot coffee in his face. But 15 minutes later, the same rich man was on his knees, trembling, his voice cracking as he begged that same biker for help. Nobody saw it coming. But when the truth came out, everyone watching had tears in their eyes. The morning was crisp, the city waking up with the buzz of engines, horns, and coffee cups clinking in cafes along the street. In front of Kings Avenue Cafe, a line of high-end cars shimmered under the sun. Among them stood a brand-new black Mercedes. Its owner, Richard Haynes, a successful real estate mogul known for his arrogance, strutted like he owned the world. Across the street, a biker named Tethan Cole parked his motorcycle. His jacket was old, his jeans torn, and his hands were stained with oil, the marks of an honest day's work at the auto shop. Ethan wasn't rich, but he was proud. Life hadn't been easy since his father passed away, but he worked hard, fixed bikes, and never treated anyone like they were beneath him. As fate would have it, both men walked into the same cafe that morning. Inside, Richard barked his order at the barista without even looking at her. Ethan, standing quietly behind him, gave a friendly smile and told her to take her time. When Richard turned and saw the biker's dusty jacket, he scoffed. "People like you shouldn't even be allowed in here," Richard said with a smirk. Ethan raised an eyebrow but didn't react. He'd dealt with worse. But as he took his coffee and turned to leave, Richard suddenly bumped into him, spilling a few drops on his own expensive shoes. "That was it," Richard snapped. Without thinking, he took his steaming cup of coffee and hurled it in Ethan's face. The cafe went silent. Ethan stumbled back, gasping in pain, his face burning. The smell of hot coffee filled the air as everyone froze in shock. Richard stood tall, brushing his sleeve like nothing happened. "Maybe next time you'll learn to watch where you're going." Ethan didn't say a word. He wiped his face, his jaw tightening. He wanted to hit him. Every nerve in his body screamed for it, but instead he turned away and walked out. The crowd watched in stunned silence. A young waitress whispered, "What a monster!" Outside, Ethan stood by his bike, breathing deeply, forcing himself to calm down. The humiliation cut deep, but he knew something Richard didn't. He knew that life had a way of turning tables when you least expected it, and it was about to. Barely 15 minutes later, the same arrogant man who had thrown the coffee stood on the corner of Kings Avenue, pale, sweating, and terrified. Smoke was rising from his Mercedes. Flames licked the hood as people shouted and ran for safety. His engine had caught fire while he was on the phone, and in a panic, he had dropped his keys somewhere on the road. "Somebody help!" Richard screamed. "My briefcase is inside, my wallet, my phone, everything." But no one moved. The fire grew hotter. People pulled out their phones to record. Just then a familiar rumble echoed, the deep growl of a motorcycle engine. Ethan pulled up beside the burning car, his face still red from the scald, but his eyes calm. He saw Richard waving frantically, his suit smeared with sweat. "Please," Richard shouted, recognizing him. You have to help me. My car's gonna explode." Ethan looked at him for a moment. The crowd watched, whispering, waiting for him to walk away. But he didn't. He took off his jacket, threw it on the ground, and ran straight toward the car. He pulled open the door, flames already creeping along the dashboard, grabbed the briefcase and yanked it free. The moment he stepped back, the car burst into a small explosion that knocked him to the ground. The crowd screamed. Ethan rolled, coughing, his jacket half burned. Richard dropped to his knees beside him, tears filling his eyes. You saved it. You saved everything." Ethan stood slowly, looking down at the man who had humiliated him. "Everything but what really matters," he said quietly. Richard swallowed hard. He looked around at the crowd, people staring, judging. Shame flushed his face redder than the flames behind him. I'm sorry," he stammered. "I shouldn't have. I was angry. I didn't mean—" Ethan cut him off gently. "You meant every word, but it's okay. Maybe now you'll remember how it feels to be the one needing help." He handed over the briefcase, got back on his bike and started the engine. The crowd parted, silent as he rode away. Richard sat there on the pavement, clutching his briefcase, tears falling on his designer shoes. For the first time in years, he didn't feel powerful. He felt small. Later that day, he went back to the same cafe, not to drink coffee but to find Ethan. He waited hours until Ethan walked in again, tired from his shift. Richard stood, walked up to him and bowed his head. "I owe you my life, and I owe you an apology." Ethan looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "Make it right. Not with me, but with the people you've stepped on." From that day, Richard changed. He started funding free repairs for bikers and delivery riders, offering coffee to every worker who came by the cafe, and every morning he'd leave 1 cup on the counter, black, no sugar, waiting in case Ethan ever stopped by again. Because that one man, the biker he once insulted, had shown him what real strength looked like. Forgiveness. True wealth isn't measured by the car you drive or the suit you wear. It's measured by the kindness you show when no one's watching.